Today on Locked On Rockies, we gotta talk Mount Roxmore.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today. I am Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Rockies talk, breaking things down from the players on the field to the front office organization, all that stuff. We're talking about it right here every day with you, the lovely fans of the Locked On Rockies podcast. And we thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and streaming on all your favorite streaming services, and we're on YouTube, and we just passed the 50 subscriber mark. Thank you all so much for that. On today's episode of Locked On Rockies, Ryan Spilborghs, aka Spilly, proposed the Mount Roxmore. So we're going to talk about that, the different variations, and the fact that this isn't actually as simple as you might think for Rockies fans, and an update on that Twitter thing I told you about last week. We're tweaking it a little bit, kind of working on the fly with that. All right, so on Twitter yesterday, and I believe on his radio program, Loud Outs, is that what it's still called? But anyway, I believe this was also a part of his Sirius show, or will be a part of his Sirius show coming up here. Ryan Spilborghs asks, who is on your Rockies Mount Roxmore? Tags a bunch of people. So let's just go through on a couple of tweeted responses here. This one has Larry Walker, Cargo, Nolan, and then Denver Bears one. Shout out to Harrison MJ 1967 on Twitter. Andre Dawson, Tim Raines, Tim Wallach, and Randy Bass. Kev says Walker, Cargo, Tulo, Nolan, most thrilling 4 players in franchise history right there. Holiday a close 5. Maybe Holiday at just Cargo. That's it. Let's start there. Let's start with Cargo and Matt Holiday. Now, 2 eras, right? I mean, two very distinct eras. And the thing is, Cargo is responsible for so many individual moments, but Matt Holiday is responsible for a lot of major successful organizational moments. I mean, the slide, just the fact that he was really, really good in 2007, really, really good. He was really, really good throughout his career. Matt Holiday was a fantastic player and a fantastic Rocky. But when I think Mount Rushmore, again, Mount Roxmore, I should say. I do like what's there. I think when you're thinking of this discussion, it should be the quote unquote faces of the franchise. When you think Colorado Rockies, these are the 4 players that you are going to think of, because there's 2 obvious ones. The only 2 obvious answers for the Rockies are Todd Helton and Larry Walker. Larry Walker is your team's first Hall of Famer. Larry Walker is a legend. Larry Walker is there it is. I already said it. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best to ever wear the purple pinstripes. And Todd Helton, 17 years, Mr. Rocky, will be a Hall of Famer. Don't listen to anyone that says he's not. Look at those numbers. I mean, he's trending up. I think those are the 2 you have to put on there. There's no Mount Roxmore that exists without Larry Walker and Todd Helton. The numbers are retired by the team. They're there. So then you really only have the 2 slots left. And that's where this opens up. So again, when you're talking Cargo and Matt Holiday, are Cargo and Matt Holiday more synonymous with Colorado Rockies baseball than Troy Tulowitzki and right now Nolan Arenado? I don't think it's eventually that's probably going to change, because there could be a point where Nolan plays more time in a different uniform. Probably St. Louis, I would imagine. But it's going to be a long time. Nolan Arenado deserves that place, because Nolan Arenado, if he played his whole career, probably would have been statistically the best player we've ever had on the team. He was the best player we've ever had on the team. I think when it boils down to it, when you're doing the Mount Roxmore of Rockies baseball, the four faces that are the most identifiable with the Colorado Rockies: Todd Helton, Larry Walker, Nolan Arenado, and I think you got to say Troy Tulowitzki. I don't think the Blake Street Bombers have as much influence to the post-Rocktober Rockies fans. People that were my age, that were in middle school and that were excited by the Rockies, and then this other wave that were excited by the back-to-back playoff appearances with the Nolan-led teams. So the Blake Street Bomber, you have your rep there. You have Larry Walker. You're not neglecting that era of Rockies baseball if you don't do the Big Cat, if you don't do Vinny, if you don't do, players like that. But I like that the question was posed personal, because that changes everything. If you're going, if the Locked On Podcast Network said we are doing a Rushmore for everyone, I think I think what I've already said would be the one I would go for. And that would be Helton, Walker, Arenado, and Tulowitzki. But personal ones, that's where I liked where it mixed up. Because when you're thinking about the importance of something like a Rushmore, when you're memorializing and memorizing, oh man, just totally messed that word up. Anyway, when you're honoring, I guess is the word, I don't know, these players, do you neglect all the pitchers? All the pitchers that have made a huge role, that have made a huge impact on it? I don't think you can. And let's talk more about that in just a second. But first, I got to tell you about Built Bar. Have you tried the Built Bar Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of the best tasting Built Bars there is out there. The Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors: yummy cinnamon, churro, coconut, marshmallow, banana cream pie. So good. These are going to be your new favorites. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolates. Yes, that includes the Puffs. 100% real chocolate. Churro Puffs, churro marshmallow deliciousness, all with low calorie, high protein. Come on, folks. Go to Built.com and scroll down to see the macro charts for yourself. You'll be blown away. High protein, low cal, high fiber, low carb. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. At Built Bar, they are all about taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Again, 15% off at Built, your order, I should say, at Built.com with the promo code LOCKED15. Also want to thank you for making Locked On Rockies your first listen every day. Locked On MLB Prospects host Lindsey Crosby, I should say, is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So another podcast for you to check out. Let's talk more about the Mount Roxmore. And there's more than meets the eyes to this conversation. Let's go to some more fan replies here. Again, Spilly started this conversation yesterday at Ryan Spielborgs, if you want to go talk to him here. Traston Klaus said, this is way harder than I thought it would be, but mine would be Todd Helton, Larry Walker, Vinny Castilla, and Carlos Gonzalez. Great list. Kevin Hammer says Walker, Helton, Arenado, question marks. Maybe Ubaldo or De La Rosa. Let's go there. I think you have to chisel out. You have to chisel out and honor an arm that comes into Coors Field and is successful. Now, the question is it Ubaldo Jimenez or Jorge De La Rosa right now? German Marquez will take that spot if he continues to be the player that he is and the player that we hope that he will be, and really that we believe he will be. German Marquez is a stud. But we did a podcast looking back at Jeff Francis and some of the arms a couple weeks ago, back when he was inducted into the Canadian Hall of Fame. And Ubaldo Jimenez and Jorge De La Rosa, especially, these were two very good pitchers for the Rockies. And then, I mean, of course, Ubaldo, the no-hitter, the most, I mean, the first and only in Rockies history. I mean, don't they get a say? Doesn't Herman Marquez have a say in the matter of being an all-star, a Rockies pitching all-star? Does Jeff Francis fit into that conversation? I don't think so. If you're putting a Rockies pitcher up there with Walker, Helton, and then, you know, they that middle one, that last piece right there. Because if you're going a pitcher, that changes the whole conversation for the third one. But we're gonna focus on the pitcher here. Between Ubaldo Jimenez, Jorge De La Rosa, and Herman Marquez, all of them, I think you put Ubaldo Jimenez on there. I think because Ubaldo Jimenez was just so dominant those the playoff times of the Rockies of the mid 2000s, of those teams that of my first wave, you know, real second wave of Rockies fandom. Because again, I've been going to Rockies fans since I could, honestly. And at the end of the day, these players are important. They matter. It matters that these players get recognized, especially pitching. Pitching is such a tough thing to do, and especially when you're pitching for the Rockies. I feel, especially in the time of Jorge De La Rosa and Ubaldo Jimenez. I mean, that they were the first ones to actually show that you could pitch and be successful at Coors Field and actually start ending the stigma. So that plays an important role. That's a key piece. That factors in greatly, I think, into this conversation, because the Mount Roxmore should be a reflection of the overall greatness of the program. So to not have a pitcher on there, I think is doing a disservice to the great ones in the Rockies organization, because the Rockies have had great pitching. And that would be something if someone was to come and see the Mount Roxmore, they would be impressed that a pitcher was up there. Someone that doesn't know about the Rockies would be interested in learning more about the impact that these pitchers have had on the game at Coors Field. How important was it for Kyle Freeland to watch Ubaldo Jimenez and Jorge De La Rosa growing up? All the pitchers that come from Colorado, all the baseball players that come from Colorado. I mean, there's way more, they kind of leave Colorado and they end up somewhere else, but they're all over the place. So to negate the importance of Jimenez and De La Rosa, I think, is really selling them short. But that undercuts the whole is when you say Ubaldo Jimenez, do you think Colorado Rockies? Because when you say Todd Helton, Larry Walker, for sure. When you say Troy Tulowitzki, most likely. Toronto fans, probably not. And then it's changing, but right now, you know, if they weren't so polarizing for being bad, Nolan would be associated with the Rockies. He should still be associated with the Rockies. He's only been in St. Louis for 1 year, and Nolan's impact on the team can't be understated. But then you can't negate those pitchers. See, this is what I said. This is a much more difficult conversation than you might think. This is a conversation that requires you to actually really think about what is synonymous with Rockies baseball. If you want to do the overarching one, your personal one, put your favorite Rockies up there. No matter how long they played with the Rockies. Dexter Fowler can be up there if you want. I love Dexter Fowler, by the way. Is Dexter Fowler an underappreciated Rocky? I know his career, he's had some success, but I know the end of his career hasn't been the best. But Dexter Fowler, I'm not putting him up on Mount Roxmore, but it's something to think about. So if you're reflecting and you want to use this exercise to honor the full team, having a slot for a pitcher, I think you got to do it. And I didn't even do that when I tweeted from the official Locked On Rockies Twitter to answer this one. Pitching and the role that pitching has played in Denver, very, very important. And the role that those pitchers played on those teams, Jimenez and De La Rosa, and Marquez continues to put means to this team, means a lot, means a ton. There's another player that I think throughout this whole conversation went under the radar, but at the same time didn't. And we'll talk about them in just a second. But first, I got to tell you about betonline.net. BetOnline.net is the place to be for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. Football might be over, but basketball's in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season, and it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds right to the Olympic coverage and information. Well, they were for the autopilot there. But next time, when the next Olympics are in Paris, which I just found out, BetOnline.net is going to be the place for all those odds and the coverage for the next Olympics when they happen. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. And that website is betonline.net because BetOnline is where the game starts. The one player that I didn't reflect on a lot and didn't put into this exercise, this Mount Roxmore exercise, was Charlie Blackmon. I mean, he is Rockies. I mean, right when you was post Nolan for sure, but throughout this whole, even with Nolan and Trevor, I mean, the Charlie Blackmon star for Rockies fans was not one that did not shine bright. I would say Charlie Blackmon is probably one of the most beloved Rockies players for all of Rockies fans. And he's made a huge impact on the team. However, I think I'd put Cargo over him. I think Holiday would come in third place to Charlie Blackmon in that list if I'm going for 4. Because Charlie Blackmon has been not only phenomenal, but I think just embodied Rockies baseball, embodied being kind of a goofball, a goofy on a team. He was just someone that I really, really think has been essential for Rockies' success and is essential for navigating this era of Rockies baseball post all these big players. Whatever happens this season, whatever happens with Trevor's story next. But the post-Arenado Gray story era, I think you need to have Charlie Blackmon there because he's the one that can tell these players. He's been with the team forever. He's been through a couple of transitions. He can tell the team. He can help inspire the people that are going to rise up to be the next guys for the Rockies. As bad of a shape the Rockies are in, the importance of having a veteran like Charlie Blackmon on your team shouldn't be understated. And Charlie Blackmon's value should be honored because he is he is someone that when you say Rockies baseball, Charlie Blackmon was the name. My girlfriend doesn't watch any Rockies baseball, but she knows Charlie Blackmon. There's been a lot. What I love about this exercise is it's just a great way to dive in and look at great Rockies players. And we haven't even scratched the surface. These are just the big names that would obviously make the big one. What does the Welcome Center look like going in? What do the smaller statues look like in the visitor center of Mount Roxmore explaining who's there? Does a manager deserve to be up there? No. I don't think the Rockies have ever really, like Clint Hurdle and Bud Black have been fine, or have been good managers and have had success with the Rockies. But I don't really think managers have the impact that players do. I think that's kind of obvious. But who's on your Mount Roxmore? You can leave a comment in the video here or tweet at Spilly and make sure let's see if there's any more that we want to talk about, to chat about here. Saw some DJ LeMahieu love there, but then a little thing that says I forgot about Walker, so I'm gonna put that on. A couple of loves for the big cat, Dante Bichette. Oh, Dante Bichette. The Bombers would get. See, that's the thing. The Roxmore would be the big one, but when I'm talking the visitor center, that's a perfect place for a little Blake Street Bombers section. The Rockies really need a Hall of they have enough to get something going, right? A little part of the ballpark to honor some Rockies history. What is it? It's over 25 years, right? Was it more than that? When was the Rockies first? I know I should know this. But yeah, 93. So almost 30 years. Maybe they're waiting for 30 years of Rockies history, but there's enough to start something, I think, at least in the ballpark. I would love that. Love that. Go look at some old gear. I've gotten the opportunity to kind of walk in the club levels and the suites, and I love the nostalgic pictures because I've seen it working in radio. One of the perks, you get to work. I've gotten to see it at Great American and T-Mobile as well, and I just love those beautiful big images of great moments in baseball history like there. And I would love for the Rockies to have something there. That's something then we might be onto something. Rockies should get a Hall of Fame going. And I'm not the first person to say that. I have seen that out there before as well. But that's going to put a bow on our conversation about Mount Roxmore. But we were going to do the Twitter thing, and then, just things that kind of just, I have so many moving parts, and then just some stuff came up. So I'm going to post some pictures here soon, probably over the weekend, probably before the weekend. And I'm going to see what people think. And see what people want out of a header image, just because it's a fun thing to get engaged with you guys. Do something fun. But anyway, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. We really appreciate it. Go subscribe on YouTube today. Leave us a review and a rating on your favorite streaming service. That stuff means the world. It helps out immensely if you can do that. Share with your fellow Rockies fans. Let them know about what we're doing over here on the Locked On Rockies Network, and stay up to date with all things Colorado sports with the Locked On Avalanche, Nuggets, and Broncos podcasts, all available for you streaming free on your favorite streaming service. We'll be back with more Locked On Rockies tomorrow. We'll take a look at the state of the lockout. Maybe, I don't know exactly what we'll talk about, but there's plenty of Rockies talk to be had, and we're going to dive into it all here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Folks, thank you again for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. And until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies.